Boxing fans, right now I'd like to introduce you to a pretty good boxer. He's up and coming out of the Washington, D.C. area. This is Chang, Mark with a record of 4-1. And Mark, thanks so much for joining us on today's show.
Thanks, Dan, for having me on the show here. Considering all the big name fighters been on, I'm certainly in good company.
Well, really, it's our pleasure to have you, Mark. You're an exciting fighter. And we'll ask you just a few questions here because I know you're in a hurry. First of all, Mark, would you tell the boxing fans of Albuquerque about some of your toughest fights as a professional?
As far as tough fights, memorable fights, Phil Holmes, definitely one of them. I hit him with a lot of clean shots, my best shots. Very tough fight, came down to decision. I feel lucky to get that one. I split 1-1 with Chris King, former ABF champion. I also split 1-1 with DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley, former National Golden Glove champion. We fought twice. I beat him the first time, he beat me the second time. Chuggy T, Johannes Musa, that's probably the most exciting fight I've been involved in. The first round was very fast paced. Rounds 2, 3, and 4 were just blistering. Afterwards, we were both just dead tired. And again, very lucky to get a decision on that as well.
Okay, and now how about some of your, how about your amateur career? How about the days in the amateurs? Tell us about that.
I had a lot of amateur fights. I have a Golden Gloves championship, got an ABF AAU championship, won a lot of other smaller tournaments as well. A lot of amateur experience before I took that step to go to the pros.
Mark, who's training you right now and promoting you or working with you in that way?
I've actually been training myself since about late '96, early '97. Worked with a lot of different trainers in the amateurs, also initially in the pro career. One person helped me out a lot was Scott Farmer, former professional fighter himself. Learned a lot about the pro game through him. Definitely an asset. We still keep in touch. Been with Las Vegas Sports Promotions since late '96, looking to set up another match out there in mid-March of this year.
Okay, here's a question that's a little more fun. Let's get off the serious side of it, but personally, how about your favorite all-time boxer, or maybe your least favorite?
Favorite fighter, definitely, although it's a standard choice to make, I know, is Muhammad Ali. Just the excitement he brought to the ring, mainly due to his selection of just top-tier opposition. Ali was always involved in an exciting fight. He always took on the best opponents, and which is something unfortunately you don't see a whole lot of nowadays. I know everybody keeps complaining about that, but you know, that's why he's just such a pleasure to watch. Also, the fact he was not afraid to speak out, speak his mind, even if it was not popular at the time. On the contrary, probably one of my least favorite fighters, Hector Camacho. He's just very boring to watch. It's very frustrating. He goes in there, he'll start running. He doesn't want to trade. Just flick out a few jabs, try to get a decision. It's very frustrating to watch that.
Mark, how did you get involved in boxing?
As far as me starting boxing, I didn't even mess around with boxing until I was about 15. But when I grew up, it was a very conservative, status quo kind of neighborhood. Of course, me, being the antithesis to this whole, the war bride bandwagon and so forth. I was getting into mad scraps very regularly. But as they say, don't poke a mean dog with a sharp stick.
Now, I know that you've been fighting as a junior welterweight and a welterweight, and I hear talk that you're thinking about moving up into the middleweight division. You want to tell us about that?
As far as moving into the higher weight divisions, 160, 168, middleweight, super middleweight, I'm just not getting the competitive matchups that I want to get at welter, at junior welter. And plus, if I'm as good as I say I am, I should be able to move up a few divisions and beat a less than world-class opponent.
Well, let's finish it up here. And Mark, is there anything you'd like to say to the boxing fans of Albuquerque watching here on Channel 27?
If I'm ever fighting in New Mexico, I hope you all come out and see me. I really appreciate the support. Hope you enjoyed the show. Albuquerque, you got a great show here. It'd be nice if we had a joint like this up in the WDC as well. Thanks.
Well, there he is. That's the up-and-coming rising star. He's 4-1 with all 4 wins by knockout. That's Mark Chang, welterweight, soon to be junior middleweight, I believe, coming up out of the Washington, D.C. area. And watch for him. And we're going to be featuring some of his fights right here on the 8-Count Boxing Hour. And thanks so much again to Mark Chang. And thanks for joining us here for this interview on the 8-Count Boxing Hour.